Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Perfect World based on novel. So let's. Xiahou directly found a stalk of holy medicine from Immortal Palace inheritor's body and threw it into her mouth. She immediately stopped, no longer fighting to the death. The little girl chewed on it like Chinese cabbage, chewing off a piece of the old medicine sparkling with purple radiance. She immediately became all smiles again. It was just too extravagant. Many people cursed silently when they saw this. Was there really this kind of wasteful use of holy medicines? To directly chew on it, not even refining it, and using it like food, let's go. I'll invite you all to eat great peng meat. Xiahou waved his hand, and then he led the way. Of course, before leaving, he burned Immortal Palace's corpse clean to prevent any returning from the grave accidents. This place erupted with commotion. Immortal Palace's young great one died just like that, his body and soul eliminated. The genius who was known to be able to sweep through all 3,000 provinces geniuses lost his life just like that. In the outside world, it was similarly chaotic, the disturbance even greater. Immortal Palace, how extraordinary was this inheritance? Even though their numbers were few, never exceeding 5 if they excluded the servants and others, they were still above many great sects. Their old palace master especially, how many in the higher realms could match him? This sect overlooked many great inheritances, related to the legendary immortals, even more so burying the dazzling Supreme Hall. It was precisely this kind of sect that had their inheritor killed in Immortal Ancient. All types of life-saving treasures were useless, dying without any suspense, moreover being killed 5 times in succession. How shocking was this? That ancient copper palace floating in the void, chaotic energy swirling around it, was silent and still. However, the servants in its surroundings were already trembling, feeling an anger and killing intent that was about to erupt like a volcano. Di Chong died just like that. In the past, this name was given to you in hopes that you would become an emperor, rushing through the 9 heavens, never expecting you to die so soon. Inside the bronze palace, an aged voice sighed, carrying regret, but even more a wave of killing intent. It immediately engulfed the great earth, the mountains and valleys all rumbling and swaying. Dead. Immortal Palace's inheritor Di Chong died just like that, killed by Huang. This left the entire outside world shocked. Huang, he immediately became the focal point of everyone's discussions. No one thought that the Immortal Palace inheritor, who merged both his main and second body, would have died like this, killed 5 times. This was a great defeat, as well a type of humiliation. For Immortal Palace, this event didn't bring them the slightest bit of brilliance. It tarnished the reputation of this inheritance that had been known to be undefeated, truly unimaginable. Huang came from the lower realm, rising up from the great wastelands, yet so quickly able to match the most powerful geniuses of the higher realms. In the future, he might even be able to contend against ancient freaks. Everyone sighed. Their attention concentrated on this youth again, seeing him in a completely new light. It was because this person advanced by leaps and bounds, more powerful than what they had even imagined. Things are going to get rowdy now. Now that all of the geniuses have gathered with Immortal Ancient's final opening, great waves will definitely be stirred now because of Huang. Soon after, this place became noisy. Everyone was frightened because of this battle. It was different from what they had imagined. All of them were discussing this excitedly. Immortal Ancient, Green Spirit Realm. Peach blossoms were blooming, the blossoms rich and diverse as they fell everywhere. The petals were sparkling and resplendent. This place didn't have any noise, nor were there any bloody battles. There was an exceptional beauty and tranquility to it, truly fine food, great golden winged peng casserole. Cao Yuxing directly rubbed his hands together, his small chubby face smiling happily. As for Huang, he already created quite a few legends, for example, fighting with Ning Chuan's spiritual body and returning from the vicious nest alive. Of course, for most people, the most terrifying thing was still when he ate 7 or 8 exceptional talents in Silver Polish Mountain. This truly frightened everyone. As long as one wasn't originally humanoid in shape, they all stayed far away from him out of fear of being targeted by this devil king. Dig in. Xiahou laughed and said, Gudong Gudong, as Xiahou, Qingyi, and the little fatty tore at the golden and resplendent peng meat, the little rabbit on the side began to drink large mouthfuls of wine. Its little face immediately became rosy. Little sister, there are vegetables here. You don't have to only drink wine. Qingyi said with a smile, pointing at the other side dishes. Shahao roared with laughter. She doesn't like eating vegetables at all, but is instead preparing to drink herself drunk, deceiving herself, so she could fight over the great peng meat. Hee, the little fatty also began to laugh, because this wasn't the first time this type of thing happened. Nonsense, I don't eat meat, I eat vegetables. The little rabbit was furious, her large red eyes widening as she angrily berated. Of course, the angrier she became, the more she drank. A small half of the pot of holy wine disappeared, just like that, making Shahao and the little fatty feel quite some pain. A moment later, the powerful holy medicine wine kicked in. The little rabbit's face was completely flushed, her large eyes narrowing. She began to bare her fangs and claws to fight over the great golden-winged peng's meat. Qingyi was stupefied. When she saw how the snow-white rabbit was acting, she finally seemed to have understood a bit. As expected, no one ate more viciously than her. Her small face was full of grease, eating awfully joyously. What vegetarian, arguing noisily. Vegetarian my ass. Of course, when she became clear-headed, everyone knew that she wouldn't admit it even if she was beaten to death. The others in Arctic Treasure House's top floor were speechless. That was a golden-winged peng. Yet it was turned into a dish, and was even being crazily eaten by a pretty and delicate little girl. I hate you all. The divine striking stone fell onto a small silver plate, continuously smashing about with dang-dang sounds as he watched them gorge on the food. It was extremely angry, bringing out a few rocks itself and chewing on them with catcha-catcha sounds. These people ate while chatting, talking about their own experiences in Immortal Ancient. Of course, there was a little rabbit drunk boxing on the side, joining in on the fun. I need to go into isolation cultivation and cultivate immortal energy. I have to take that step. Shahao said, his eyes serious, already firmly deciding to do this. Even heavenly countries' assassins have appeared, so the situation doesn't look too good. These cold-blooded creatures normally wouldn't take action without reward, so there is likely others who ask them to attack you. Qingyi said, correct. The little rabbit nodded her head in a drunk manner. Why don't we all go into closed-door cultivation and take care of one another? The little fatty said, my place is a bit special, it might not be suitable for you all. Shahao said, it is the same regardless of where I am, because I've recently been focusing on finding a way to carve killing formations on my flesh, bones and soul. Cao Yusheng said. Everyone's paths were different. This fella dared to do this, his courage quite great. They all knew that he grasped the third killing formation, able to release chaotic sword energy. My isolation cultivation will be extremely dangerous this time. Last time, I encountered two ominous events, so if I enter isolation again, there might be something mysterious about. All of you should stay a certain amount of distance away from me. Shahao warned seriously, I'll set a formation this time to catch it. I want to see exactly what kind of thing it is. The divine striking stone said. When Cao Yusheng, the little rabbit, and Qingyi heard this, they unexpectedly unanimously nodded, expressing their agreement. They also want to find out exactly what was going on. They were extremely daring, wishing to capture the so-called inauspicious existences. Shahao released a sigh. Only after personally experiencing it would one know how terrifying that thing was. Last time, he seized life from near death. I am not joking. It is better if you all don't join in, or else you might be inviting trouble. He advised against it. We wish to take that step as well, so sooner or later, we'll run into it. If we work together to capture that thing now and research it, then it will be greatly beneficial in the future. Cao Yusheng said. He said that they could use his killing formation to encircle it. That was the third killing formation, born within primal chaos, enough to shock the world, correct? Hurry up and lay it down. With all of us joining hands, we will definitely catch one alive. Watch how I deal with it. The little rabbit shouted noisily, not scared in the slightest. Formation banners fluttered about the 3,000 bluestone paths. There were several dozen of them, and once activated, large numbers of deities would die if they accidentally stepped into them. These killing formations were assembled after working for several days, as well as using up a small mountain of heavenly materials. Their power was matchless. If not for Shahao killing immortal palaces inheritor Di Chong, and then paying several clans a visit in Radiant City, he definitely wouldn't have been able to gather so many divine materials. Their value was impossible to assess. We can still use these things later. They've all been turned into magical stands and formation banners, so if we switch locations, they can still be used. The divine striking stone said. It was so tired it was about to collapse. All of these things used up a lot of mental and physical effort. At the center of the 10 great formations was a simplified version of the Little Fatty's killing formation, because with his current cultivation realm, there was no way he could carve out all of the symbols. He used his divine senses to carve the insides of the divine materials to prevent those outside from prying into them. When the great formation was activated, this place immediately became different. Formation banners fluttered about, Tao platforms shone, forming several tens of layers of barriers of light, protecting this place. Shahao sat at the center. Are you too reliable? Don't refine me along with everything else now, relax, that region is extremely safe. It won't be affected. The divine striking stone said. I'll use the bluestone ancient path's symbol's flame to burn my body. So will that hinder or damage the great formations? Shahao asked. I am going to remove the central formation stand for now so that the great formation can't activate. When the irregularities truly happen, it'll immediately return to its position and activate it. The divine striking stone said. They carefully discussed and studied the situation, thinking up all types of issues that might arise. When they were sure that nothing unexpected would happen, only then did they begin to enter closed-door cultivation. Shahao brought out everything he had for them to take care of, because when the over 1,000 great Tao symbol flames burned his body, withering away his flesh, his body would be half destroyed, and even things he carried on him would be hard to protect. He only held 2 half ginseng fruits in his mouth, so that it could preserve his life at the most crucial point. The Tao comprehension stone landed on the bluestone path, making this place tremble. However, it didn't crush this place. The strange stone was an ashy brown color, looking extremely ordinary, but actually had wondrous effects. Shahao sat on it, preparing to use this to enter isolation cultivation, good stuff. Outside, regardless of whether it was the divine striking stone, Little Fatty, or Qingyi, they were all extremely happy. There was a pile of bone books, all of them insights of those before them. This time, Shahao killed Immortal Palace Inheritor, collecting all of the precious items he had on him. There was no lack of divine treasures. However, with the passage of time, the fiery light flourished even greater. When it reached the 1,600th streak, he suffered serious injuries. His skin opened and his flesh split apart. Symbols covered his body densely, rushing into his muscles and bones. The furnace cauldron refined from the void distorted at this time. His body within almost turned into a pile of charcoal, a paste, already completely cooked, meat fragrance wafting through the air. I really want to drink and get drunk again. The little rabbit cried out. Fortunately, Shahao was isolated from them, unable to hear these things, or else he would have definitely given her a beating. When the symbols cleansed the flesh, the bluestone paths released the sound of scriptures. Shahao's body trembled. He resonated with the Tao, immersing himself into it. In the end, he released a roar, the furnace breaking. He separated from the countless great Tao symbols. His comprehension was deep. He sat in the void, descending onto the Tao comprehension stone. The 1,600 streaks of fiery light retreated. That place became quiet and without any sound. He became cold, unmoving as he silently comprehended the Tao, too scary. This is self-torture, gambling with one's life. Cao Yusheng couldn't help but sigh. Then, he began to comprehend his own Tao. This time, Shahao was faster than before, not taking up that much time, but the injuries this process created were just as serious. The half-divine fruit in his mouth turned into liquid, entering his body to recover his injured body. The divine striking stone sent over a few holy medicines and half-divine fruits to help him quickly recover. Unexpectedly, the irregularity didn't occur. Just like that, Shahao continued his process of isolation cultivation. After his injuries healed, he guided the great Tao's symbol flames to refine his body, using heaven and earth as a furnace, the great Tao as flame to refine his true self and transcend. 1,800 streaks, 1,900, 2,000 inches coming. When 2,100 streaks were refined and Shahao recovered through half-divine fruits, a mysterious wave of energy appeared, surrounding this place. The divine striking stone and the others entered the formation together, activating the central formation stand, creating boundless barriers of light that began to surround this place. An ancient lamp arrived in a slow and unhurried manner. Even though it was shining, it still made one feel extremely cold, carrying an ominous aura. It entered the formation, suspending itself 100 zhong above Shahao's head. The divine striking stone cried out strangely. This was too weird. The formation it laid unexpectedly didn't serve any use. That ancient lamp disregarded everything, entering like a ghost. What is going on? Cao Yusheng's expression changed. Qingyi directly activated the green moon, scattering out its radiance in preparation of using this ancient flame to burn away all things sinister. It really is strange. The little rabbit was incomparably nervous. That ancient lamp swayed about, and the grey mists pervaded the air, arriving from the distance, drowning out this place and spilling into this formation. Remove the formations. Shahao shouted. When the divine striking stone heard this, it quickly took action, removing all of the formation stands and banners. Not good, another one came. The little rabbit cried out. Sure enough, footsteps sounded, cold and indistinct. A pair of eyes appeared in the grey mist. It also carried a heavenart halberd, coldly and ruthlessly walking over murderously. This creature's strength was the same as the other one, just like Shahao's, incredibly tyrannical, immediately using the dazzling white halberd blade to slice at his torso. This battle was too difficult, with no hope to be seen. Qingyi, the divine striking stone, and others all felt a chill inside. The two creatures were both similar to Shahao. Now that they appeared one after the other, how was he supposed to even fight? The void sky divine vine stuck out its head, breaking out into a cold shiver before hiding back into the heaven and earth pouch, not daring to come out again. This time, Shahao became silent again. After a brief period of stillness, he erupted with endless symbols to fight a bloody battle. This place erupted with chaos. Dao sounds rumbled and precious techniques rushed into the skies as he fought in a berserk manner. They are just similar. The precious techniques aren't the exact same as what Shahao uses. They only look alike. Qingyi said, what will happen if we take action? Cao Yusheng asked. The little rabbit thought for a bit, and then pointed out a finger. Gratian force turned into a streak of divine light, entering the battlefield. Another type of symbol appeared in the void and rushed murderously at Shahao. A streak of divine light landed on the strange creature's great halberd, and then another streak landed on Shahao's halberd. Sparks flew everywhere. No good, we cannot hastily take action. This is likely a type of natural law, a mysterious power that is at work here. Qingyi said. Shahao bitterly tried to think of different methods. He used the method from last time, suddenly linking up different types of precious methods and attacking crazily, wishing to overlay them like last time, to kill these two strange existences. In the end, it was useless. They were dispelled. The two creatures joined hands, quickly inflicting serious injuries on him. Right now, it was as if he was fighting against two of himself. This was a challenge of his limit, challenging the limit. Do I need to surpass myself? Shahao's entire body was covered in blood. The halberd strike, just now, almost hacked him into two. Supreme being techniques erupted. He took large steps forward. When he traded blows with those two individuals, his divine force surged, magical force surging like a sea. His flesh also became quite a bit more powerful. Two light sounds rang through the air. He used the combined symbols to kill these two creatures. Their tattered bodies fell down onto the bluestone stairs. At this moment, Shahao stood on the battlefield alone, his body and mind clear, as he silently inspected himself. The two types of symbols were intertwining, transforming into one type. He knew that he not only made it through this disaster, there was also a tremendous harvest. In addition, a strand of immortal energy appeared around his body, indicating that he was about to break through on this path. I am almost near the end of my road. I am going to burn my true self with all 3,000 flames. His will was firm, his eyes brilliant. What kind of creature is this? Cao Yusheng and the others ran over, staring at the two tattered bodies. When the grey mist scattered, they could see bronze armor on their bodies, as well as halberds covered in green rust that looked incomparably ancient, as if they walked over from the endless past. Heavens, what kind of creature is this? How can it have this type of ancient feeling? It almost seems as if it came from the last great era. This type of feeling was extremely strange, making one feel as if what they were facing was a part of history, and not two creatures. There was an accumulation of past time, and even more so an indescribable type of great bleakness. You shouldn't have killed us. Suddenly, one of them weakly opened their mouth. There was no life aura, nor any spiritual fluctuation. However, these words were spat out with difficulty. The little rabbit jumped extremely quickly, screaming outwards and immediately disappearing. She was truly given quite the fright. Actually still able to speak, this truly is strange. the little fatty said. He was quite daring, squatting down to carefully study them, wishing to study through them. Shahao was quite glad that these two creatures looked different from him. Otherwise, he would have felt extremely uncomfortable inside, as if he was killing himself. That creature then stopped moving, no longer speaking. Road, already broken, reached its end, everything no longer exists. As soon as the little rabbit made its way back over, the other corpse suddenly weakly opened its mouth, giving her such a fright that she jumped straight up. With a su sound, she scuttled behind Qingyi's back. You are scaring this rabbit to death. Can't you two speak together? Why do you have to go one after another just to scare others? She was extremely angry, the grey mist scattered. The two corpses turned into fine powder. There was no flesh or blood as they scattered like smoke into thin air. Apart from this, their bodies' bronze armors and great halberds also split apart inch by inch, turning into bronze fragments. It was as if they had experienced tens of millions of years. Under the endless years and the flow of time, nothing could exist forever. Everything ended in destruction. Shahao rushed into the skies. The halberd in his hands hacked outwards, making that ancient lamp distort and then scatter into mist, disappearing from this place. What exactly was this? What did those two creatures mean when they said those words? Shahao frowned. He could call them a type of natural law, but they clearly had true physical bodies. After the battle, after they were killed, only then did they slowly scatter away. They are just like corpses that have been sealed in an ancient coffin for an extremely long time. They are extremely lifelike at first, but once time goes on, they quickly decay and no longer exist, because they have long been erased along the endless river of time. Cao Yusheng said, You really are nasty. Why do you understand these things? What kind of comparisons are you making? The little rabbit said. When Shahao heard this, he was startled. Where did they come from? Are they really corpses from immortal ancient great era? Why do they always appear like this, carrying out this type of intervention with such dark power? Also, why does it only send out monsters with similar strength as myself? He had many questions, causing him to frown. They aren't corpses from underground. Qingyi frowned. A green flame wrapped around her, and then a strand jumped out, pointing in a direction. In this great era, the world's natural laws changed. Everyone would reach the end of their lives, no one able to live eternally. Similarly, it was extremely difficult for one to take that step as well. This type of recording, this type of legend, all came from the last great era, things that those of later generations learned of and understood from excavating historical ruins. Why is this the case? Could it be that it is saying that it will be extremely difficult for me to succeed? Shahao frowned. Based on what the bone books said, an indistinct appearance of immortal energy could only mean one thing, and that was that the path he took was too extraordinary, too difficult, impossible to reach the other end. It was because even if they continued traveling this path, it would be extremely difficult to condense true immortal energy, most likely throwing away one's life along the way. When Shahao heard this, he remained silent for a long time. Could it be that he had already reached the end of this path, unable to proceed further? It is just saying that the path is too difficult to cross. That doesn't mean that one is guaranteed to fail, right? Shahao asked. It does. Qingyi sighed. From what was recorded, the chances of success were extremely small, impossible to succeed. If he continued, it would result in the death of both body and Dao. I will succeed. Shahao's conviction was firm. Don't rashly attempt at it. There might be great problems. Qingyi said. This was something left behind from immortal ancient, a conclusion of their predecessors, so there was definitely reasoning behind it. Even if it was immortal ancient great era where the world's environment still remained unchanged, those who could cultivate immortal energy were still few and far between, requiring one to have heaven-warping talent. The world in this great era was different, everything already changed, and as such, success was just too difficult. I still wanted to cultivate a few strands of immortal energy. How could it be like this? An indistinct strand of immortal energy cannot stop me. I will allow it to truly appear. Shahao said. The little fatty Cao Yusheng was speechless. He deeply understood the difficulty of this path, and even some ancient freaks had died. How could it be that easy, since the ancient times, the most dazzling people, for example, the ancient freaks, studied era after era, accumulating for such a long time, but it is still difficult for them to succeed. Meanwhile, you want to cultivate many streaks of immortal energy. In reality, based on what he said, he already chose his path, to take that step. He had to cultivate the strand of immortal energy, as that was the reflection of his own Tao fruit. Precisely the so-called one from Tao. You took that step, walked on your own path, that is your Tao. That was why a strand of immortal energy appeared. Cao Yusheng said, regardless, I won't give up. Shahao said calmly. He insisted on continuing, deciding that he wouldn't give up halfway. Shahao only had one era. All of his insights and accumulation couldn't compare to those of the ancient freaks at all. Several days ago, I made a trip outside. Several ancient freaks have died again, their bodies and spirits erased, all of them perishing, because they wanted to take that step. Cao Yusheng said, too terrifying. You should just learn my natural Tao. The little rabbit also tried to dissuade him. Has anyone cultivated more than a single strand of immortal energy? Shahao asked. Those people all became speechless. His situation was dangerous, and if he continued like this, his body and Tao would definitely disappear, yet he was still asking this kind of question. Indeed, however, one needs great natural luck rarely seen since ancient times. Increasing immortal energy is too difficult. Cao Yusheng told him straight up that even if he succeeded on this path of his, he would definitely only cultivate a single strand of immortal energy. If he wanted to cultivate the second strand of immortal energy, he had to find other ways. I have to first cultivate the first streak. Or else how can I get any further? Shahao's eyes became resolute. The 2600th streak of fiery light appeared, covering heaven and earth, drowning him within. The bluestone ancient paths produced sound of scriptures, all types of Tao rumbling, shaking heaven and earth. This time, Shahao was burnt until he was half crippled. Even though he passed a death tribulation, the immortal energy was still indistinct, not truly appearing. It took him a long time, before he finally slowly recovered. It really was a bit strange, however. The strange and ominous existence never arrived. So it was rather peaceful. 2,700 streaks of fiery lights burned. Shahao almost melted, his flesh in tatters, bones scorched black, even his primordial spirit about to scatter. Endless symbols surged, about to break him apart and turn him to dust. This time, the immortal energy strengthened a bit, but still ultimately scattered. I am unwilling to let it end like this. 2,800 streaks. He was unconscious for half a month, his flesh about to rot away, primordial spirit dim without light. Luckily, he had the Supreme Being liquid that wrapped around his primordial spirit, protecting his life, allowing him to quickly recover. The divine striking stone said with a sigh. The Supreme Being liquid came from Spirit Realm. Shahao had previously climbed to the very top, the stone bowl of sparkling liquid absorbed by him. In the end, Shahao revived. After his injuries were healed, he still refused to give up. 2,900 streaks of fiery light surged, burning the 9 heavens and illuminating the sky. What, this time, he succeeded. Those individuals cried out strangely. A strand of immortal energy spilled out, pure white and clear. That was the fruit of the great Tao, an embodiment of one from Tao. It truly appeared, and it wrapped around Shahao. Success, truly succeeded. This is too great. This is the one from Tao true meaning, immortal Tao energy. The little rabbit cried out loudly, becoming extremely happy, her ruby-like large eyes completely round as she looked forward. Right now, she was like a pure little girl, jumping and hopping about, truly, inconceivable. I actually personally witnessed such a miracle. Cao Yusheng was stunned. He also couldn't help but cry out. One had to bear in mind that there were many heaven-warping creatures from the past to present, but they failed one after another, body and Tao erased, unable to succeed. Yet now, so close to them, a youth with immortal energy appeared. How could they not be shaken? It's finished, finally making it through the tribulation of death. I hope everything will go smoothly and perfectly. Qingyi was also overjoyed, her beautiful eyes flickering with luster. This was truly an incredibly grand event. For Immortal Ancient, whenever anyone took that step, it would signify extremely profound effects, relating to many people's lives and deaths. Once one succeeded, they wouldn't need to fear group battles. No matter how great the numbers, no one could kill the one who produced immortal energy. He was now truly a king, those of this generation unable to stop him. These types of existences' futures were impossible to estimate. The divine striking stone laughed crazily, crying out, "Let's go back and deal with all of those sex people, purge them one by one and steal all of their divine materials." It wished for the whole world to be in chaos, desiring all types of divine stones, wishing to use them to evolve. Only the void sky divine vine said with a trembling voice, "Careful, the closer one is to success, the more dangerous it is. That thing will come again. It had previously experienced it, remembering the events of the past, making it feel lingering fear even now. Shahal succeeded, but he suffered serious injuries, almost dying. His body was burnt black both inside and outside, all 5 main internal organs releasing strand after strand of light smoke. His skeleton was about to split apart. This was an omen of being burnt to waste. His injuries were too severe. If it was anyone else, they would have definitely died. There was no way they would still be alive. The withered body was like a skeleton, cracked skin covering his bones, all vitality gone. If not for the pure white strand of immortal energy revolving around him, it would truly be hard for one to believe that this was a hero who could overlook immortal ancient. His situation was utterly terrible, a lamp out of oil. If anyone attacked him now, he might be directly cut down. An ancient lamp appeared, faint and indistinct as it moved over. The grey-coloured mists seemed to gather from beyond the 3,000 bluestone paths, richer and more boundless than before. The pressure it released was suffocating. In that instant, Qingyi, Cao Yusheng, and the little rabbit's fine hair stood on end, feeling chills run down their bodies from head to toe. This was a life and death trial, just like facing a god of death, as if they had fallen into the underworld. They were all shivering in fear. This kind of feeling was too terrifying. They vaguely felt as if they had already been pulled into the depths of death, that it would be hard for them to continue living. All of you, back off. That immortal energy broke apart. It originally wrapped around his body, yet now, it broke into many different parts. He lost his connection to it. It floated at his side, and even though it was still mysterious, it separated from him. What was going on, heavens? How could it be like this? The others were all stupefied. Shocking changes took place. There was simply no way to use that streak of immortal energy, it unexpectedly scattered, turning into different parts. What the fuck? The divine striking stone couldn't help but curse. The situation was critical. Shahal's state immediately became more unfavorable, no path of life to speak of. Right at this moment, his body released a strange light. Blood swirled, guiding the scattered immortal energy. With a shua sound, all of it entered his body. In the next instant, the pure white mist became one with the supreme being blood. The two merged together, thus disappearing. Shahal was stupefied. There was actually this kind of situation that happened. He was a bit confused, but when he inspected his body, he found that it was hazy, a bit indistinct, only returning to normal after a bit of time. It was clear that the supreme being blood became even more resplendent, not looking like blood, but instead like scarlet red metal liquid that was flowing. There was a wave of mysterious aura that surrounded him. How do you feel? Those people felt extremely anxious as they loudly asked. I don't feel anything. Shahal said. He truly didn't feel anything different. It was just like in the past. However, he saw that strand of energy disappear with his own eyes, entering his body. Be careful, those things are closing in. Cao Yusheng reminded. Yi, they stopped again. The little rabbit was shocked. The mists no longer surged, and those creatures slowly came to a stop. It was a bit strange. Even the ancient lamp in the void swayed, and then it became indistinct. Suddenly, the large amounts of grey mist scattered silently, and those creatures left into the distance, entering a great crack in the void, disappearing from this place. The ancient lamp also disappeared. Peace was restored to the bluestone paths. This left everyone stunned. There was actually something like this that happened. They thought you failed, feeling that you weren't worth getting rid of. The little rabbit guessed. The others nodded, agreeing with this type of speculation. However, they truly couldn't explain it. Of course, the most shocking thing was the transformation of Shahal's immortal energy. It really was difficult for them to feel happy or regretful for him. That immortal energy scattered, signifying that this was another failure. However, it was also because of this that he passed this trial of death. However, they were still rather expectant. That wave of energy entered his body, so will there be some strange transformation? This time, Shahal used a long time to recuperate from his injuries. Even after recovering, he didn't immediately take action, instead sitting on the Tao comprehension stone to think to himself. It was because the ominous and inauspicious existences were too terrifying, far exceeding his imagination. If not for them mysteriously backing off, he would have definitely been in danger. This time, he had to make ample preparations, or else when he cultivated a true strand of immortal energy, and then was still killed, that would be too tragic. I thought of something. Once you cultivate immortal energy, it will be too hard to operate for a short amount of time. That is why you shouldn't completely entrust your hopes on it. Cao Yusheng said. Shahao was discussing with them. They knew his current situation, so they spoke about all of their speculations to remind him. Shahao sighed. The situation was not looking good at all. How was he supposed to make it past this tribulation? How was he supposed to persevere through? No wonder ever since the world changed, it was so hard for anyone to succeed. I need to transcend the self. Shahao said quietly to himself. He opened his martial Dao heavenly eye to inspect his own body. Suddenly, he discovered that a shocking change happened in his body. He couldn't see it before, because only the heavenly eye could vaguely see this scene. It's here. I'm going to use this to surpass myself. Shahao said. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.